What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to go over a couple pretty big PlayStation news stories, really, I guess, over the last 24 hours. I mean, it started yesterday with the CEO change and just really a shakeup of PlayStation and a little bit of Sony, right, in general. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I guess what I want to say, look, I just want it to work out. I know I joked about it on Twitter where it's like, just give me Sly Cooper, right? Whatever guy or gal or whoever is a fan of that series, get them as the CEO. And let's move on with our lives. But no, I mean, in reality, I think this is probably a better plan. You got Herman Hulst probably in a better spot. And I think there just needs to be some accountability, right? I mean, we talk about PlayStation so freaking much, and you have Concord, and you have the live service games that have all been canceled. You need to settle that stuff. You need to figure out why it happened, who caused it, right? We can blame Jim Ryan, and many of us have, but at the end of the day, well, is there people there that are still to blame? You know, there's all sorts of rumors of Herman Hulst's relationship with like a game like Concord and stuff. And so I just hope that the new structure of PlayStation is for the best. The person that is now CEO, he's said some good stuff in the past. He seemingly has pushed handhelds. He's pushed games over consoles. He's talked about how I believe games sell consoles, not the consoles themselves. So he said some good stuff in the past. And I think he's more of like a business guy than Herman, who's a little bit still focused on the games themselves. So again, as long as we just get good end results, right? I don't really care who's running the show. My favorite was Sean Layden, back in the day. I wish we had someone like him back. Maybe we do now. Okay, so now I kind of want to focus on the two news stories that happened today. One of which is them rolling back on that PSN requirement, right? So that was the big Helldiver situation a long time ago, even though that was never fully resolved. So basically where we're at now is they did cave, but they only cave for single player. And right now they only cave for 4 select single player games. So you're not going to need to do that PSN link for Spider-Man 2, which releases tomorrow, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, which comes out in April, and then God of War Ragnarok and Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered. So those are the 4 for now. They're all single player. It probably is going to be where like single player games, in the future are not going to have it, but they don't say, like Helldivers, they kind of apologize. They kind of backed off, and then nothing was really fixed, at least to my knowledge, or maybe it was fixed in some territories but not others. It was kind of a little sketchy how that entire thing, well, number one, played out, but number two, even ended. I don't really think we got a resolution there, but anyway, it is good to see them learning at least a little. Now, the thing that I actually kind of find funny, but they're doing what they got to do, or at least in their mind what they got to do. They do say they're basically now going to have incentives. So if you do link it, you're not going to have like that friend prioritization, whatever feature that I don't actually even know what that is, but you're not going to have it. And you're also not going to be able to do trophies, right? If you don't do that login, but they're going to try to incentivize it by, well, number one, you're going to have those things. And number two, there's actually going to be in-game unlocks. And I got to say, am I a huge fan of that, trying to push people to do it? Not really, but I do think that's actually kind of a cool thing. And I just wonder, like, how good are they going to be? Like, are they actually going to be so good that people are going to go against their morals and say, all right, I'll just link the account just to get that cool suit? I honestly don't think so. I think the people that are opposed to it, which I have total respect for, by the way, I'm not saying you have to do it, but, people that are opposed to this stuff, people that, were mad with Helldivers, people that were mad with these single-player games that required it, I don't think they're going to get won over by an outfit, by Kratos having, just a different garment on or something. I don't really think that's going to win them over, but, you got to kind of give credit at least a little bit where credit's due. It seems like they're learning very slowly and probably needs to do more, but at least they're doing something. Okay, and then the final thing I want to talk about is finally we're dropping the PS4. Now, I'll go into kind of my thoughts on that in a second, but basically starting January of 2026, this is PlayStation Plus, okay? January of 2026, the shift is going to go to PS5. They are not guaranteeing PS4 games on PS Plus anymore. They do say they almost like reserve the right? Like if they want to put a PS4 game on PS Plus, they will. If they want to make games that are playable on PS4 and PS5, they will. But basically that almost mandate or the focus on having the PS4 be such a fundamental feature, of these things, it is going away in 1 year from now. Now, I say hallelujah and thank the freaking Lord. But no, I mean, okay, here's where I stand on it. And I've said this, over the years. I was once, I think, looked at very negatively when I talked about this stuff back in like 2021, 2022. I think I was just a ahead of the curve. But no, I get people not wanting to abandon the old hardware, right? Because a lot of people don't upgrade right away. I get it. Times are tough. Times are tough for me too. Economy, cash, whatever. Okay. I do understand. I want to be transparent that way. Okay. I do get that. But I guess my problem has always been, and specifically in this generation, I just do not think the PS5 generation has been strong. I think it's the weakest maybe that they've ever done. I really came up in the PS3 and PS4, but I mean, I know about the PS2. I had a PS2. A lot of my favorite games of all time and what I grew up on were on PS2. So I personally think PS5 is probably the weakest we've ever had. And my issue has always just been, and a lot of these companies do it, and not just gaming, but everywhere, right? A new cell phone comes out, a new whatever comes out. Okay, push it, right? Buy this, buy this, buy this. Hey, here's this fancy, wave it in front of your face, right? Here's this fancy new piece of hardware that you need. Oh, how much is it? Oh, it could be $500, $600. Some of these phones, thousands of dollars. Okay, is there a reason to get these things? Well, not really, but buy it anyway. And I don't think we've ever seen it so strongly with PlayStation besides this time. And I guess, again, what I mean by that is kind of what I just said. There's always a desire to push the next thing, right? That happens every time. That happens with any system. That happens with any technology piece. But you also, in my opinion, need to back it up with products, and that's actually where I think PS5 has failed to me the absolute most. Did you really need this thing in the first 2 or 3 years? The answer was not really. Not really. It took so long. And then, I mean, that's the biggest thing to me. There's other things, developers, right? Having to develop for multiple platforms, multiple generations, and then also multiple systems, right? I think it was just too much. And I've said this a lot over the last couple of years, on these channels. I just don't think we entered the PS5 generation until years in. Now, again, that can sometimes be the case. I do think some generations did a better job of getting us in there quicker. And also taking advantage of the hardware. Did you feel like you were in that PS3 360 gen? Did you feel like you were in the PS4 Xbox One? That kind of, maybe it's something you can't actually measure. It's almost like just in your head. And I gotta say, for this, I think they failed massively. Did you feel like you were in the generation of the PS5 and Series S and X? No. And a big part of that, again, there's multiple parts, but one part of it was, you push the console, and then there's just nothing really there once you get it. It took years to do it, and I just don't think we ever really embraced this generation until, honestly, maybe like a year and a half ago. Like, I don't even know, maybe like God of War Ragnarok time, Spider-Man 2, specifically PlayStation, right? Let's just keep it contained. I think it took them, honestly, 2.5 years in order to really start to get in. And that's a long time. People spent hundreds of dollars, right, for the first 2 years, and it just took forever. So I'm very happy about this because this is just another push where it's like, all right, we're letting the PS4 go. Okay, it's about time. And honestly, I got to say this, even for the people that are still defending it to this day, again, like, I get it to a degree. However, we are now 4 years into the generation. There does need to be like a cutoff. There does need to be where I get it. You maybe don't want to spend the money. You don't have the money. Like, again, like, I totally understand that. And it takes time. And I think they're aware of that stuff. I think they were maybe too aware of this time. I think they were too focused on that stuff, and they just forgot about the next console and the millions of people that, by the way, spent money on that next console that weren't really getting a lot of stuff. That's my belief. That's where my stance is. So yes, by the time this happens, January of 26, that is 5 full years, 5 and then 2 months after the PS5 comes out. It's time. After half a decade, you need to drop the console before it, okay? So if this is the signal that 1 year from now and 5 years into the generation, we are finally done with the PS4, I call that a failure. I also am happy that it's happening, but I don't think that's a good thing. And then because, you want to know why? 2 years after that, the PS6 will come out, and then we'll be doing this all over again, and it'll take forever to get into the PS6 generation, and we'll have this talk, I think, many more times as the years go. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.